Good evening, everyone. The Pharisees went off and plotted how they might entrap him in speech. They sent their disciples to him with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are a truthful man and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. And you are not concerned with anyone's opinion, for you do not regard a person's status. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it lawful to pay the census tax to Caesar or not?" Matthew 22, verses 15 to 17. The Pharisees were very nationalistic and were strict observers of the law of Moses. It was their view that people should not have to pay taxes to the Romans, and many of the people agreed. The Herodians supported the Romans and therefore were supporters of Herod, the Jewish ruler appointed by the Roman emperor. One of Herod's responsibilities was to obtain taxes from the Jews for use by the Roman government. Those who opposed the paying of taxes to the Romans could even be put to death. This joint questioning of Jesus had one goal: to get him in trouble. If Jesus said it was unlawful to pay taxes to Caesar, Herod's soldiers could arrest him. If Jesus said that the people should pay taxes to Caesar, the Pharisees could turn the people against him. It appeared to be a lose-lose question posed to Jesus. Of course, Jesus' answer was perfect. Without violating the law of God, he also refrained from violating the civil law. Upon hearing his answer, all who heard him were amazed, and leaving him, they went away. The lesson learned from this passage is an especially important lesson to apply to family life. It is very common for conflicts to arise from time to time among those who are close to each other. When that happens, we can often take the approach of trying to trap other person and trip them up with our deceptive reasoning. When this happens between two people, the conversation often turns into a shouting match, with each party seeking only to find fault with the other. The solution to such situation is simple. Every conflict must be resolved by the truth. Jesus did this perfectly. He did not attack when he was attacked. He did not defend himself irrationally. He did not shy away from the confrontation. He did not manipulate the truth to his own advantage. Instead, he spoke openly and honestly the full truth and refused to engage his opponents in their trickery. Oftentimes, when we feel as though another person is trying to trap us, condemn us, or challenge us, we become more concerned about our defense than with the honest truth. We can become afraid to say anything that will give them reason to attack us. We will be tempted to twist our answer rather than speak forthrightly with sincerity and honesty. This will never resolve the conflict. The only way to resolve anything is with the truth. Reflect today upon how you work to resolve conflict when it arises. Are you more like the Pharisees and Herodians, whose only goal was to trick, trap, and win? Do you see the other as an enemy in those moments? Or do you strive to be like Jesus, who didn't shy away from the conversation, answering honestly and directly? Of course, the truth was easy for Jesus since he was without any fault. In our lives, the truth may require that we admit our sin and apologize when confronted. However, if the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth is our goal, then our conversations will imitate Jesus and most often, peaceful resolution will ensue. And God bless you.
Give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. In this 29th Sunday, in ordinary time, brothers and sisters, the Lord was offered to choose. Whether he says yes, give to Caesar in terms of taxes, then he would be misconstrued as having an allegiance to Caesar. Either or, if he decides, would be caught off guard on the trap of the Pharisees and Herodians, brothers and sisters. But rightfully, the Lord asked, to whose inscription is written in the coin? And responded, it's Caesar. Thus the Lord told them, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. The answer of Jesus, brothers and sisters, was a serious one. It is something that they themselves discover the role as citizens of the state and citizens of the kingdom. There should never be conflict between the demands of the state and those of God. The state has a role, but its power is limited and does not supplant God. And from this principle, brothers and sisters, Christians could deduce that they could accommodate loyalty likewise to the state. Now, what does it mean that we give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and we give to God what belongs to God? It's a question, friends, of allegiance, loyalty. As citizens of this world, we have to be loyal to the state. We have to do our obligations. We have to be a good citizens in our place, in our country, in our state. But as citizens of the kingdoms, as brothers and sisters, as children of God, we have to give our utmost loyalty, allegiance to the Lord. Everything and anything we have, especially in terms of peace, justice, human rights, radicality of our free and loving response to the Lord. In most cases, brothers and sisters, they don't have like a conflict, but sometimes they may have. It's just a matter of putting things in a proper perspective. It's just a matter of putting things in its proper order. So much so that our utmost loyalty would only be to the Lord Himself. The Lord is the foundation of our being. The Lord is the foundation of our person. So much so that everything we have in terms of being a good citizen should emanate our being a good Christian. But nonetheless, we have to have a kind of critical collaboration to the state. Being a good citizen in this world means we have to collaborate, cooperate, participate in the perspective of a person having been always inspired, anchored, and rooted in the Lord. As the words of St. Thomas More Sewell says, I die as the King's good servant, but God first. On the other hand, brothers and sisters, politics also plays a pivotal role in creating the kind of society in which we live. What greater vocation is there than to assume responsibility for national and international affairs, to work for peace and justice in the world, and for the betterment of human life for all. But more importantly, when we involve ourselves in politics, the Lord should always be our anchor. The Lord should always be our guide. The Lord should always be an inspiration. After all, He has come into the world not to be served, but to serve for the ransom of the many. A pleasant Sunday, brothers and sisters.